All right, amid the effort to clear the way for the medical response to the coronavirus patients, all non-essential medical surgery centers were told to close until the crisis had passed. That way, the needed equipment could be directed to the response of the coronavirus. It would also eliminate, as much as possible, taking up ICU beds for potential non-essential surgeries that had complications. Well, that included abortion clinics. But despite the order, abortion clinics in Louisiana continue to operate. The Louisiana Attorney General has launched an investigation to see if, in fact, these clinics throughout Louisiana are performing non-essential procedures and or not, rather are performing only performing non-essential procedures, and whether or not they're violating the statewide stay-at-home order. Joining me now to talk more about this is the Attorney General of the state of Louisiana, Jeff Landry. Attorney General Landry, welcome to Washington Watch.
Good afternoon, Tony. Always a pleasure to be with you and all you great listeners.
Well, let's start with defining some terms, as I was stumbling over them at the opening here. Non-essential procedures. What are we talking about here?
Well, of course, those would be considered elective procedures, or those procedures under which, the patient could, theoretically wait out until, until the public health care crisis has passed. We're seeing that, you take colonoscopies, for instance. So, I'm getting ready to turn 50 this year, and the advice from my doctor would be to go and have a colonoscopy. Well, I should probably wait, and of course that I should. Not only should I wait, but the center under which I would go to have that colonoscopy should tell me that, look, this is, more of an elective and non-emergency procedure, and we're not going to perform that procedure until the public health care crisis has passed.
Now, there's a few reasons for this. Number one, and I think you've stated this publicly, it's so that the personal protective equipment can be directed, which is in short supply, can be directed to the frontline healthcare workers that are working with the coronavirus patients. Is that correct?
That's correct. We all know that there's an extreme shortage of PPE or personal protective equipment. Mostly because most of that equipment is made overseas in Asia or China, and our supply chain has been affected by this global pandemic. And of course, the responsible thing, and you've seen it. Look, you're like dentist offices have closed, and they haven't given us any trouble in closing because they recognize some of them have even donated their PPE to nearby hospitals. In order to ensure that those hospitals have an adequate supply as we deal with COVID-19, the Wuhan flu, and so it is all of this is in an effort to reserve the equipment necessary to protect the medical providers. I mean, because God bless our medical providers right now, Tony. I mean, they're on the front lines of this war against this invisible enemy, and we should be doing everything we can to ensure their protection.
Another aspect of this is that, even though it's a standard, procedure, say colonoscopy or other elective surgery or procedure, these things can go wrong. And that would require them going to a hospital and potentially taking up an ICU bed or other equipment that is necessary to focus on the current crisis with the coronavirus patient. So it's all designed to focus all of our effort and energy and resources into this one thing and stop it. We also have the stay-at-home order. So we're trying to do everything we can. That would include abortion clinics, which in Louisiana, and I know this for a fact because I first passed the legislation to put them under the same regulatory system as the ambulatory surgical centers, which are the outpatient centers. So they fall under the same order as everybody else. Is that not correct?
That's right. And, that's the concerning part, Tony, is that, for some reason the abortion industry believes that they're above the law. They're in a different class of healthcare than everyone else. It really is disappointing. Of course, it's not unusual that they would not do the right thing, but like all other clinics around the country and in the state of Louisiana, they should be following those same types of protocols and abiding by those executive orders.
Now, last week in the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals, Texas had put in a similar order that non-essential medical procedures be stayed, including abortion clinics. They appealed that at the district level, went up to the circuit level, and the Fifth Circuit ruled in favor of the state of Texas, saying that, yes, it's reasonable during this emergency situation to put this restriction in place. Now, I think you also filed a friend of the court brief in that case supporting Texas, the state of Texas's position, did you not?
Yeah, Solicitor General's office, headed by Liz Murrow, and we actually filed another one last night. So, yes, this is the second time the Texas orders are before the Fifth Circuit, and we've led an amici. We led it in the original one, and then we just led it again, filing it late last night on Easter Sunday, supporting Texas's position that, healthcare is part of the policing powers of the state, and that under these public healthcare crisis times, that the state should be able to regulate all of our healthcare clinics, including abortion clinics. And again, this goes back to this abortion distortion that the industry believes that they're above the law, and that there there's a carve out and exception unique just unto them.
Mm-hmm. So you have launched an investigation now into whether or not these clinics are operating, even though they're not supposed to be. Is that correct?
Right. Normally this would, these types of actions would be taken by the Louisiana Department of Health, but because of Louisiana's continual response to the COVID-19 crisis, their resources are stretched thin. They reached out to us, asked us if we could assist them. We created a COVID-19 task force to look into any complaints that may come to them. And so we were able to secure a couple of investigators from the state medical board and put together a good group of experts that went out and started gathering facts. And we submitted reports on the investigations that we did on Good Friday, and we submitted that to the Louisiana Department of Health on yesterday. And for them to be able to review the evidence that we gathered and to make a decision.
So the evidence that you gathered, does it suggest that these clinics are violating the order not to be performing these non-essential procedures?
Well, Tony, I hate to not answer questions, but, unfortunately, because we're in this investigative stage and we sent this report over to the Louisiana Department of Health, the facts that are in front of them really is their determination to make. Here's what I would tell you is that, look, what we want to ensure is that basically, well, I'll give you one example. We know that, and this is public knowledge, right? This isn't coming from our investigators, but we know that based upon the traffic and the cars that are in and out of these abortion clinics, that there are people that are walking into those clinics from out of state. Okay, that's problematic, right? I mean, we have seen states across the country basically start to restrict access into their states at their particular borders or their state lines for people going in and out of their particular states. That's one thing that certainly is problematic for what's going on at those particular clinics. What we want to do is ensure that, again, all healthcare clinics don't create like a superhighway that is conducive to creating a superhighway that would be conducive for communicable diseases. We want to ensure that clinics around Louisiana that are operating, if they are operating inside of those executive orders and are doing so in a manner that's creating an additional public health care crisis inside of one already.
Right. So this now rests, and it's with the administration, but essentially that would then be the governor has the responsibility now for his administration to act upon the findings of your investigation.
That's right. The document, yeah. We can't draw conclusions. Those have to be drawn by medical personnel, which would be inside the Office of Public Health and Louisiana Department of Health, which are all underneath the governor. So yes, it's their decision now, and of course, whatever when they make that particular decision, and any legal action that's taken based upon those decisions will come to us, and then we'll handle them. But yeah, we've done our job. It's now inside of the Louisiana Department of Health to make a decision based upon the evidence that we've gathered.
All right, General Landry, we'll check back with you once a decision has been made, or even if it doesn't get made, we'll check back with you to see how things stand in the state of Louisiana. Jeff, thanks so much for joining us.
Well, thank you, Tony. We hope that a decision is imminent, though.